The galaxy was silent that night. Patrol ships moved through dark space, scanning the stars as they always did, expecting nothing but the usual cold emptiness. For centuries, the galaxy believed it was safe, stable, controlled by the great collective of alien species. They thought they knew every world, every system, every power. But deep in the void, beyond forgotten charts, a single signal began to pulse. It was weak at first, almost like a whisper. But whispers in the dark can grow into storms, and this one was about to change everything. Fleet observer Kravak sat in, his command chair aboard a Valoran scout ship. His eyes, large and golden, focused on the glowing data screen. The scanner pulsed again. It was no random burst of energy. It had shape, rhythm, intention. He leaned closer, his throat tightening. "Run the analysis," he ordered his AI. The ship's intelligence responded in a calm, metallic tone. Source detected. Origin, human frequency. Status, classified as extinct or scattered. Probability of error, less than 1%. Kravak's scales rippled with unease. Humans? Impossible. The last records placed Earth under surveillance, but weak, barely recovering, from old wars. No new colonies were registered, no fleets, no expansion, and yet, here it was, a clear signal, a message carried on an ancient human code, a code the galaxy had not heard in centuries. The message repeated, over and over, like a ghost knocking on a door that should have stayed closed. At first, the aliens thought it might be a trick, a forgotten probe still wandering space. But as they decoded it, the truth hit them harder than any weapon. The signal was live. It was being broadcast by people, human people. Whispers spread quickly through the collective's channels. Spies rushed to report it. Scientists argued in panic. How could a human colony exist out there, beyond the rim? No one remembered sending one. The collective had carefully monitored humanity after its bloody wars, making sure they never spread too far. Some whispered that Earth had been left weak on purpose, kept under control so the species would never rise again. But if a colony had survived in silence, how strong had they become? Kravak stared at the screen, listening to the old Earth tongue echo through the bridge. The words were simple but heavy with meaning. We are here. We remember. We endure. The words chilled him. Not because they were loud, but because they were calm, confident. A lost voice that had never been broken. He quickly transmitted the signal to collective high command. Within hours, dozens of fleets were on alert. The galaxy was waking to a truth it had never prepared for. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had returned. But where had they been? How had they survived without notice? Theories grew like wildfire. Some believed the humans had been abandoned on a forgotten planet during the early days of space travel. Others whispered darker tales, that humans had been hidden on purpose, left to die. But instead they had adapted, hardened, and built their strength in secret. For centuries, no one had spoken the name of humanity with fear. That time was ending. Alien leaders debated in their shining halls. Some wanted to crush the signal quickly, to send fleets and erase the colony before it could spread. But others hesitated. What if the humans were already powerful? What if the signal was not a cry for help, but a warning? No one knew the size of the colony, its fleet, its technology. The only thing they knew was that the humans had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. That alone meant danger. Meanwhile, across hidden networks, traders, mercenaries, and smugglers shared the news. In the shadows of spaceports, creatures with many eyes and many arms whispered to each other, "The humans are back." Fear spread, but so did excitement. Some wanted to ally with them. Some wanted to profit from their return. And some, the old enemies of Earth, wanted revenge. In the lonely darkness of his ship, Kravak could not take his eyes off the signal. Every pulse of light, every repeating word felt heavier. He thought of the ancient stories of Earth, the world that burned but did not die, the people who fought even when outnumbered, the species that turned every defeat into a reason to strike back harder. If even a fraction of those stories were true, then this colony could be the spark of chaos that would burn the galaxy. And yet, beneath the fear, there was awe. How had they hidden so long? How had they grown in the shadows of the stars, unseen, untouched? What else had they built? What secrets were waiting behind that signal? The galaxy's rulers were used to control, to predictability. But this was different. This was wild, unpredictable, dangerous. And it came from the one species they had all believed to be under control. The signal ended, then began again. Clearer this time, stronger. Almost as if the humans were testing their reach, showing how far their voice could travel. Kravax swallowed hard as the final words echoed through. The bridge. We are human, we have returned. A cold silence filled the ship. Every officer on board exchanged looks, their scales pale, their movements tight with fear. They all knew what this meant. The galaxy would never be the same again. And somewhere, on a forgotten world, far from the eyes of the collective, the lost human colony waited. They had survived storms, hunger, and silence. Now, with fleets rising in the dark, they were ready to show the galaxy the truth. Humanity was back, and this time they would not ask for a place among the stars. They would take it. The galaxy buzzed with fear and questions, but on the hidden world where the signal came from, the truth was much greater than anyone imagined. The humans of this colony had not only survived, they had built a new world in silence, away from the eyes of the collective. Their story was not one of weakness but of strength, born in fire and darkness, far from Earth's fragile protection. The colony had started long ago, when a group of ships carrying settlers was lost during the age of early expansion. Their journey was never recorded in the official maps. The collective assumed the settlers were dead, but instead their ships limped to a barren, hostile world with poisonous storms, violent seas, and predators stronger than any human had ever faced. For most species, such a place would have meant extinction. For humanity, it was a forge. The first years were brutal. Half the settlers died, cities crumbled before they were built, crops failed, machines broke, and survival seemed impossible. But the survivors adapted. They learned to breathe through filters, to build homes under the ground, to hunt the monsters of their new world and turn them into food, armor, and weapons. Generation after generation, the colony grew harder, sharper, more dangerous. They raised children not in comfort but in challenge, teaching them that only the strong and clever survived. Unlike Earth, where peace and war had come in cycles, this colony had known only struggle. Every day was a battle. Every victory was carved from blood and fire. And in that crucible, humanity became something new, something far beyond what the galaxy remembered. By the time they reached the stars again, they were not explorers. They were warriors. Their ships, forged from rare minerals dug deep into their hostile world, were thicker, heavier, and deadlier than anything the collective expected. While the galaxy slept, believing humanity was weak, this colony had been sharpening itself into a blade. When the aliens first intercepted the human signal, they thought they might find a desperate settlement begging for aid. But when the first spy probes reached orbit, what they saw made them silent in fear. The colony's sky was filled with warships. Massive carriers hung like steel mountains above the planet, their hulls marked with the scars of testing weapons that no other species had seen. The planet's surface glowed with fortified cities, each surrounded by defense cannons and launch bays. Factories never slept. They produced weapons day and night, as if preparing for a war long before the galaxy even knew they existed. One alien scout drone captured an image of the human fleet, lined in formation across the planet's orbit. It was transmitted back to the collective, and the sight sent shock through every council. The humans did not look like survivors begging for help. They looked like conquerors. Their ships carried banners with one symbol, the mark of their colony. A mark that promised they were not Earth's children anymore. They were something else, something stronger. Inside the colony's high council chamber, leaders stood before their people. Their faces were hardened, their eyes sharp. These were not politicians in soft robes like the aliens were used to. They were fighters who had led armies through centuries of storms and hunger. Their words were not about peace or alliances. They spoke of destiny. They spoke of return. Our ancestors were abandoned, the colony's leader declared. His voice was carried across their fleet, then across the stars. But we did not die. We endured. We became stronger than anyone dreamed. The galaxy forgot us. Now we will remind them who we are. We are human. We take what we need, and we do not ask. The message shook the collective more than the fleet itself, because it was not a cry for survival, it was a declaration of intent. The humans were not asking for a place in the galaxy. They were taking it. In the alien halls of power, panic spread. Some leaders demanded immediate war, but their military strategists hesitated. How could they fight an enemy whose strength was unknown, whose resolve was absolute? The galaxy remembered Earth's soldiers, who fought wars with fury even when outnumbered. This colony had grown far beyond them. How much deadlier could they be? Reports flowed in. Smugglers claimed that the humans had developed weapons capable of piercing even the strongest alien shields. Traders whispered that their warships had engines faster than anything the collective could field. No one could confirm it, but the fear was enough. The galaxy realized it had underestimated the one species it thought was controlled. Meanwhile, on the colony's surface, children trained with weapons as soon as they could walk. Young pilots learned to fly warships in simulators built from the wreckage of ancient vessels. Every human was a soldier, every family prepared for battle. They had built a society where war was not just survival, it was identity. When the alien spies finally returned with more footage, they reported something even more terrifying. The colony's fleet was not new. It had been there for decades, maybe centuries, growing in silence. The humans had been preparing all along, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. And now they had chosen. The signal had not been an accident. It had been a warning to the galaxy that humanity was back and ready. The collective debated endlessly, but it was too late. The colony had already made its choice. Their fleets began to move, not just defending their system, but expanding. They did not wait for permission. They did not ask for treaties. They claimed the stars as their own. And as the galaxy watched in shock, one truth became clear. These were not the humans they once knew. These were the forgotten children of Earth, hardened in silence, reborn in fire. A colony that had become an empire in the shadows, and now they had stepped into the light. The galaxy thought the humans would remain silent after their shocking signal. Many leaders hoped it was only a show of strength, nothing more than a forgotten colony declaring its survival. But those hopes died quickly. The humans did not wait for permission. They did not waste time in endless talks. Within weeks of their reveal, their fleets moved out of orbit and into the stars. Their target was clear, the nearest alien-controlled star system. That system was small but important. It sat on key trade routes filled with rich resources and guarded by a fleet strong enough to stop most pirates. To the collective, it was safe. To the humans, it was the perfect prize. The alien governor of the system, a proud species known for arrogance, laughed at the first reports of human warships entering the border. They are only colonists, he told his council. They have no experience in real war. They will break like glass the moment our fleet arrives. He did not understand yet. When the human fleet crossed into the system, they came in formation. Rows of heavy warships, carriers, and destroyers advanced with terrifying discipline. Their hulls bore scars from endless tests. Their engines roared like thunder across the void. At the center was the flagship, larger than anything the system had ever seen. The first clash was brutal. Alien ships rushed to intercept, believing numbers would overwhelm the humans. But the humans fought with precision. Their weapons cut through shields that were supposed to be unbreakable. Plasma fire, rail cannons, and missiles launched in coordinated waves. Alien cruisers that had defended the system for decades exploded in minutes. Observers on nearby worlds watched the battle from orbit screens. What they saw stunned them. The humans did not fight like a desperate colony. They fought like a trained military, with strategies no alien commander expected. Their ships moved together like parts of a living beast. When one fell, two more closed the gap. Every strike was calculated, every sacrifice chosen. The governor's fleet crumbled. His proud voice turned to panic as reports came faster than he could process. Stations falling, cruisers destroyed, trade lanes cut. Within hours, the humans controlled half the system. On the main planet, alarms screamed through the cities. The governor ordered citizens to remain calm, but his own guards began to flee. No one could stop the human advance. Their warships orbited, the skies like silent predators blocking every escape. Then came the most shocking moment. Instead of simply conquering and destroying, the humans broadcast a message across the system. It was short, simple, and chilling. This system belongs to humanity now. Surrender and live. Resist and be erased. The message played on every screen, in every language. Millions of alien citizens trembled. For the first time in generations, they felt powerless. The collective had promised them safety, but now safety was gone. Resistance forces tried to fight. Planetary defense cannons fired from the surface, desperate to hold back the invaders. The humans answered with orbital strikes, clean, precise blasts that silenced the defenses without leveling the cities. It was not random destruction. It was controlled dominance. The humans were not only powerful, they were deliberate. The governor tried one last act of defiance. From his palace, he sent a message to the collective council. Send reinforcements, if not, this system will fall. But even as he spoke, human ground forces were already landing near the capital. Soldiers in black armor, carrying weapons forged on their harsh world, marched through the streets with unstoppable discipline. They did not shout. They did not rage. They moved like shadows, every step measured. Citizens who had once mocked the idea of humans now hid in silence as the conquerors passed by. By nightfall, the alien governor surrendered. He was dragged from his palace, his banners torn down, and in their place rose the flag of the forgotten human colony. The system had fallen in less than a day. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. Entire governments froze in disbelief. How could one colony seize a star system so quickly? How could they strike so hard and so fast without warning? Some refused to believe it, claiming the reports were lies. But the images told the truth. Human warships filling the skies. Human soldiers standing over the capital. Human banners waving where alien flags once flew. The galaxy understood then. The humans had not returned to ask for recognition. They had returned to take. In the dark corners of alien councils, fear grew louder. If one colony could take a system in hours, what would stop them from taking more? Were there other hidden colonies waiting to rise? Was Earth itself preparing to strike? No one knew, and the uncertainty was more terrifying than the truth. In the conquered system, the people whispered about their new rulers. Some feared execution, but the humans did not slaughter them. Instead, they demanded obedience. Resources were taken, trade routes secured, and the system's industry turned to supply the human fleet. The aliens realized that resistance was useless. The humans had not only taken their world, they had made it part of their war machine. The Me, first human colony, had stepped into the galaxy's light not as survivors but as conquerors, and with the fall of one star system, they had delivered their message to the entire universe. Humanity had returned. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would rule. The fall of the star system spread through the galaxy faster than light could travel. Every channel, every broadcast, every council meeting repeated the same shocking truth. Humans had conquered a star system in a single day. For most species, such a thing was unthinkable. Wars usually dragged on for months, even years. But the humans, they had struck like lightning and nothing had stopped them. In the great halls of the collective council, the rulers of 12 powerful species gathered in emergency session. The chamber was filled with tension, their voices raised in panic. Screens displayed images of burning alien cruisers, surrendered governors and human banners flying across the conquered world. It was undeniable. The humans were no longer just survivors. They were a force. The Valoran speaker slammed his tentacle against the council table. We must destroy them now. If we wait, they will grow stronger. Strike the colony before they spread further. His scales flickered with rage, but beneath his anger was fear. The Arthari delegate, a tall insectoid with shimmering wings, clicked in protest. You speak as if it is simple. Did you not see their fleet? They cut through, shields that should have held. If we rush in, we may lose even more. One by one, the councillors shouted their opinions. Some demanded war. Others urged caution. A few whispered the most dangerous thought of all, negotiation. Could it be possible to ally with the humans instead of fighting them? But the very idea was drowned in anger. To ally with humans meant admitting weakness, and no species wanted to appear weak. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, ordinary citizens trembled as the news spread. On trading stations, merchants watched the footage in silence, their antennae and tails twitching nervously. If humans can take one system, one whispered, they can take another. What if they come here next? Others argued that perhaps the humans only wanted a home, a place to grow, but no one truly believed it. The humans had not stopped at survival. They had gone straight to conquest. In the outer colonies, where alien soldiers guarded borders, morale collapsed. Entire garrisons spoke in hushed tones about the humans. Some even deserted, refusing to face the species whose reputation for relentless war was already legendary. Smugglers and mercenaries, however, saw opportunity. In the shadows of lawless stations, contracts were whispered. The humans pay in resources. The humans pay in weapons. Many rogues were willing to risk everything to join them. The galaxy's underworld was already shifting, bending toward human power. Back in the conquered star system, alien leaders sent desperate calls for help. But no reinforcements came. Collective fleets were scattered, unprepared, and terrified of facing the Xiao, unknown strength of the human war machine. The silence from the council chambers only deepened the sense of doom. On Earth itself, hidden behind layers of politics and secrecy, whispers reached human ears too. The lost colony had revealed itself. The galaxy wondered, would Earth rise in support? Or had the forgotten children of humanity broken away to forge their own destiny? No clear answer came, but the possibility that more human powers waited in the dark only made the galaxy more fearful. Across dozens of alien homeworlds, riots broke out. Citizens demanded answers. How could their governments have allowed this to happen? The collective had promised dominance, safety, control. But one human colony had shattered that illusion in a single strike. If one colony could rise so strong, what if others existed? What if this was only the beginning? Back in the council chamber, the arguments grew desperate. We must form a united fleet, cried one delegate. Every species must contribute, ships and soldiers. Together we can crush them. But another councillor shouted back, and if we fail? Do you want to throw our fleets into their fire, only to be destroyed? Then the humans will march straight into our capitals. The fear of defeat was stronger than the desire for unity. The collective had always ruled through power and fear, but now they were the ones afraid. And fear broke their unity apart. Some species secretly prepared their fleets, hoping to defend only their own borders. Others began building hidden lines of communication to the humans, hoping to secure a future alliance if the tide turned. The grand alliance that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was crumbling before the eyes of its people. In the conquered system, the human leader sent out one more broadcast, not to threaten, but to declare. The message played across hundreds of worlds, carried on every network. We are not weak. We are not forgotten. We are human, and we will decide our own destiny. Those who stand in our way will fall. Those who respect us may endure. The choice is yours. It was not a plea. It was not even a demand. It was a statement of fact. The humans were no longer asking for a place among the stars. They were carving it with fire and steel. The words spread like a storm. To some, they were a warning. To others, a promise. But to all, they were unforgettable. That night, across countless alien worlds, citizens looked up at the stars with new fear. Somewhere out there, the humans were moving. Somewhere out there, their fleets were rising. And no one could predict where they would strike next. The collective had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years with calm certainty. But now that certainty was gone. The humans had returned, and with their return came a shadow stretching across every star system. The galaxy was no longer safe. The galaxy was no longer stable. The galaxy was waiting for the next human strike. The conquered star system was quiet now. Its alien banners had been torn down, replaced with the mark of the forgotten human colony. Warships orbited like silent predators, their black hulls casting shadows across the planets below. The once proud governor was in chains, and the system's defenses had been turned against their former masters. Humanity had claimed its first world, and the galaxy trembled in silence. But the humans were not finished. They had not seized the system only to hold it. They wanted something far greater. They wanted the galaxy to see them, to fear them, to remember them. In the command chamber of the flagship, the colony's leader stood before a wall of screens. His face was scarred from years of war, his eyes sharp with determination. He spoke not to his own people, but to every world, every station, every fleet that could hear. His words were carried across the stars, forced into the networks of the collective, impossible to silence. "We were abandoned," he said, his voice steady and cold. "We were forgotten. You left us to die on a world that tried to kill us, every day. But we did not die. We endured. We became stronger. Stronger than you imagined." Billions across the galaxy froze as the message echoed. Families in alien cities stopped to listen. Soldiers in distant outposts leaned closer to their screens. Council chambers fell silent. Every species, every leader, every citizen heard the words that would change everything. "You thought humanity was weak," the leader continued. "You thought Earth was the last of us. You were wrong. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are not finished. We are human. And we take what we need." On the screens, images appeared behind him. Human fleets in formation, cities fortified, with cannons, soldiers marching through alien capitals. The message was more than words, it was proof. Proof that humans had not just survived, but built an empire in the shadows. "We will not bow," the leader declared. "We will not beg. The stars belong to those strong enough to hold them, and we are strong." Across alien worlds, fear spread like fire. Some citizens wept in terror, others clenched their fists in anger, but none could deny the truth. The humans had declared themselves rulers of their own destiny. In the collective's council hall, leaders stared at the broadcast in silence. Some wanted to shut it off, to deny the message, but it was too late. It was everywhere. Even if they destroyed the signal, the words would still be remembered. And the truth was simple. The humans were no longer a scattered people. They were united. They were powerful. They were coming. Then the human leader spoke his final words, words that would echo across history. "We do not hide anymore. We do not wait. We have returned. The galaxy may fear us, or the galaxy may stand beside us, but know this: humanity bows to no one." The broadcast ended. For a long moment, silence filled the galaxy, and then chaos erupted. On one world, citizens screamed in panic, rushing into the streets. On another, riots broke out as people demanded their leaders prepare for war. In council chambers, arguments turned violent. Should they attack? Should they defend? Should they seek peace? No one could agree. The unity of the collective was crumbling. But in the shadows, some began to whisper. Some saw the humans not as monsters, but as saviors. The collective had ruled, through fear for centuries. Perhaps humanity's rise would break that control. Perhaps humanity could bring freedom. And so, quietly, secretly, A few began sending messages into the dark, hoping the humans would hear, "We will join you." In the conquered system, the human soldiers stood watch. They did not celebrate with wild cheers. They did not waste time with victory parades. They worked, they built, they fortified. To them, this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen their strength. The galaxy had heard their words. Now, the galaxy would wait for the next human strike, the next conquest, the next world to fall. But one thing was certain. Humanity's message had been delivered. A message of survival turned into dominance. A message of warning turned into prophecy. Humanity had returned to the stars. And the stars would never be the same again.